YouTube, what's going on? What's the word? Welcome to another episode, and this is my first foray into edt1138 top 3 Tuesdays. And since, the last 2 weeks, the questions have been kind of cool, I'm going to combine 2 of them. So it's going to be AndrewGameDisplay's top 3 rarest games in the collection, and TheGameManDan's top 3 coolest looking consoles. So let's get started on, well, first of all, before we even get started on anything, it's been a difficult week, I'll tell you why it's been difficult. See this squad right here? They lost to the New Jersey Devils on Friday. But there is a glimmer of hope. Tonight, as I film this, the Devils lost to the Kings, baby. Yeah! Marty. Now, for those of you who are Devil fans, congratulations. But, fuck off. No, I'm just kidding around. Good luck to the Kings. Good luck to the Devils. See you next year. But let's get to these top 3 rare games in my collection. First of all, I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. Now, I probably could have about 30 of these, to be quite honest with you, but I could try to narrow it down to a few of these honorable mentions. First one being King's Quest for the Sega Master System. This is a port of King's Quest for the PC. The graphics are very good in this game, so is the sound effects and the music. It's not as good as the PC EGA version, but it's still very good. It's a action kind of platformer, puzzler type of game. It's really kind of adventure, I guess you could say, type of game. Very cool. If you can find this game cheap, check it out. I don't think it's very expensive either, but it's pretty rare. And on the subject of rare, before we move on here, rarity is kind of subjective because we as collectors really set it. We set the rarity of games because we don't necessarily have hard numbers in terms of production rates on a lot of things. But what we do know is that when a game is, sparks some collecting frenzy, like Earthbound, for instance, there's plenty of those to go around on eBay if you really wanted to. But when it comes down to it, it really is the collectors that create this kind of feeding frenzy of rarity. Now, when it comes to games like Stadium Events and a few others, there's only a few in the wild, so that is obviously a rarity in itself. But when we're talking about games that have been mass-produced, then you're talking about things that make it highly valuable, but not necessarily rare. Now, here's 2 games that were definitely mass-produced, but they were years ago, and I think it's very difficult to find these in good condition in the box. And it's the PC versions of Maniac Mansion with the original floppies, the 3.25, the 3.5 and the 5.25 floppies. This is complete. Now, most of you have probably played Maniac Mansion for the NES. That's a great version. It's got awesome music, but the PC version blows it away. The colors, the graphics, depending on your sound card at the time. I'm sure you can emulate that game if you have not played that game. It's pretty awesome. Then you have Secret of Monkey Island here. Same type of concept of a game, except it takes place with pirates and stuff like that. Awesome game. Once again, this has the 3.5 discs right here. Pretty awesome stuff. Alright, but to the top 3. Now, my first game I'm going to show you was a game that I had growing up. So I never bought this on eBay. I didn't, we bought it new in, I think, Toys R Us. either my parents did or we did, my brother and I, one for our birthdays, something like that. I don't know. Either way, it's a game that I've had since 1990. So, you know, because we were into shooters, my brother and I. So I had, you know, Thunder Force 2, Thunder Force 3 at the time. And so there was a natural progression, of course, to get Musha. Now, of course, we never thought this game would be worth anything, you know, when we got it. But what we did know is that it was awesome. You know, I mean, the game is spectacular. The graphics, the music. You know, when I was in high school, I dated this girl, and she had an autistic brother who was amazing at video games. Absolutely amazing at video games. Probably the best video game player I've ever seen in my life. And he you know, I gave him all of my Genesis games, pretty much, most of them, like at least, except for maybe like 10 or 12, like Ghouls and Ghosts I kept, and, you know, Phantasy Star and stuff like that, and Musha. But I gave him most of my Genesis games. This one was not going to be given out, though. So, yeah, that's number 3. Second on the list is a game that I found for $2. $2 at a garage sale. This is when I first started collecting. I didn't know it was worth anything at the time. It was a box of games with the system. I should have offered 10 and taken the entire box, but I didn't. I recognized the first 2 words of the actual title because it was the display game when the system first came out in Babbage's. I remember seeing it and being blown away by the graphics. But this is the 3rd in the series. And, you know, I got it for $2, and it is Panzer Dragoon Saga. Now, this we do know, hard numbers wise, that this had a very short production run. It was late in the cycle of the Sega Saturn. This copy in particular isn't mint. You know, this is a replacement case. I still got to get the sticker residue off, but you know, it's in good condition. You know, and for $2, you know, you can't beat that. I've yet to play, but I've heard amazing things about it. And my rarest game is a game that is a variant and a double disc of 2 very popular games that aren't very expensive. And some say it's the rarest game for the Nintendo GameCube. And it's a game that I also found at a garage sale as part of like a $10 package. And I'll go ahead and just show you it. It's a unopened, brand new copy of Metroid Prime and Zelda Wind Waker for the GameCube. Now, I'm sure most of you have never even seen this game. I certainly didn't even know it existed. And I definitely didn't know how rare it was or the value when I looked it up. In fact, there's very little information on this game on the internet. But what I do know is by looking at Nintendo Age, stuff like that, I think for the most part, the collectors on that channel, on that forum think that it is indeed the rarest game for GameCube. And they recently, an unopened copy of this, brand new, sold on eBay for $1,600. That's insanity. That is straight up insanity, I gotta tell you. People buying video games for $1,600, that's pretty much insane. But once again, it doesn't necessarily denote the rareness of it, but I guess because it was unopened, I assume that's why it sold for so much. Crazy though. Those 2 games are readily available, and you know, you can get Metroid Prime for like $5. Anyway, let's go to top 3 systems. My top 3 coolest looking systems of all time is, number 3 is the black version of the Sega Dreamcast. Now, because you know, the black version of the Sega Dreamcast, besides the fact that it says Sega Sports on there, if it didn't say that, the system would look absolutely stunning. It could even be my number 1 system. But the black system for the Sega Dreamcast actually, you know, because it follows in the theme of all the other Sega systems, the black, the matte black, you know, It's got the orange light to start it up. It's a very cool looking system. Now the white one is awesome as well, but the black version is my favorite, and that is number 3. Number 2 is it's the current gen system. It's actually the first generation of the PlayStation 3. I just think that system looks awesome. I think the piano finish looks great on it. I think the touch buttons, you know, the fact that there's actually no buttons, it just senses, I guess, heat. I think the system looks awesome. There's not much more to say about it than that. I think it looks great standing up, laying down. I think it's an awesome system. I think it's an awesome system, and I think it's a great looking system as well. You know, Xbox 360 is pretty awesome too, but I think the PlayStation looks better. So that's my number 2. And my number 1 all-time favorite looking system is actually, Ed actually had it on his. It is the Beast Sega CD and original Sega Genesis. Awesome looking stuff right there, man. It's too bad my Model 1 stopped working a little while back, but I'll get that working again. But this that would be my number 1 favorite looking system of all time. Anyway, YouTube, Ed, Andrew, GameManDan, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Check those guys out if you don't know who they are. Links below. And I'll see you next time.